Yes, I'm sure it is.
I wish it would give you an easy way to join anonymously.
What thinks I'm talking? There's ours. Okay.
You don't need to select the proper microphone.
Was that you? Were
Probably
you?
me
Oh, okay.
trying to select the right microphone, but I don't use the microphone, so.
Can you hear me?
Starting to.
You're starting to.
There you
Okay.
are.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Gotcha.
Okay.
You are outside in your outsideness.
No, actually, that's a background shot from the security camera in my wife's office in Milford. So I just picked a random photograph.
So you're faking being back in Ohio is what you're saying.
Well, I don't know. Fake is a harsh word. Okay. Think of it as an alternate reality.
That's where we hang out normally, yeah.
What do you say?
That's where we hang. Alternate reality, yeah. That's all.
Well, yeah. I think there's something to be said for that. Because the real reality has come sometimes hard to deal with. Okay, and Steve is there. Hi, Steve.
Breathing.
There is an outlet strip hanging down from the table.
Is it live?
Yeah. What do you want to bet? Somebody pulled it down and plugged something else into it.
I don't think so. I don't see any.
I haven't noticed. Well, of course, we haven't been here for a couple of weeks, but I haven't noticed that before.
When did they start this business of having the table have service outlets in it and so forth and so on? When did that start?
3 weeks ago?
3 or 4 weeks ago, yeah.
Oh, so that is a relatively brand new feature. So you think
I like it.
You think they changed the table or just drilled a hole in the one that existed?
Just drilled.
Yeah. Somebody came along with a decent drill and just drilled a hole.
And that's a HDMI connection right there.
You probably can't see where you're pointing.
See, right?
Well, I can see where your hand's pointing.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. Wow. They used to have one in the wall, didn't they, Jim?
Oh yeah, we had 2 in the walls at one time. One in each wall, and yeah, we had VGA too. Yeah.
Now, does that connect to the screen on the wall?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, your map is getting more complex there.
It is. So I went through kind of after I played around with just some loose markers. And I actually made nice stiff markers. And then I went and I redesigned this whole map. So I might have it get printed with markers already printed on it. I might not.
Cool.
Let's just say too far up.
Pretty much. Right now, the only program that I've got semi-working. And by semi, it doesn't always turn as far as it needs to turn.
Mhm.
But right now, it can tell you where it's oriented, if it's facing north or if it's facing east or west relative to the map, not relative to real life. So it can use these border markers. So if it's sitting down here facing south and it sees this, it'll turn so it can see what the next marker is, and then it will say, okay, I'm facing east.
Okay, cool.
Now
Or-
this doesn't have GPS on it, does it?
No, this is all Roku markers at this point, or April tags at this point.
Okay.
Um,
So it doesn't matter what the real orientation is. It's just how you have the map oriented.
well, once, okay, if I want, say it's sitting here at 3.3 and it's facing to the right,
Yeah.
and I want it to go to 0.0, which is up in the upper corner,
Yep.
it's going to have to know that it's at least facing in this direction before it knows where 0.0 is.
But the orientation it's using is the map. It is not
Oh,
real
right.
GPS.
Right, it's, as far as it's concerned, the top is north, the bottom is south, this is east, and this is west.
Okay.
And I should have probably just named it top, bottom, left, right, but my brain didn't think about that at the time.
Okay.
No, that way is north-ish.
In this reality, it is, but if I flip the map, but say I need it, it's starting here at 3.3 and I need it to go to 6.6. It still needs to know that it's facing east before it can get to 6.6.
Okay.
Or if it's facing north, it needs to know that it's facing north so it can back itself up and slide itself over.
So does it also reference the grid lines?
No. No. The grid is, from the previous project that didn't quite work. But a grid is handy because, I could say, go to 0.0 and 0.0 is actually marker 0. So it will seek out marker 0 or marker 1 or marker 2 or marker 3. And these need to be sort of in the same spot, sort of, kind of. It doesn't get real good traction, so it kind of loses itself. And eventually, because of how these tags work, two things are going to happen. I put RFID tags on most of the internal markers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to also be able to read those. But because of the way the April tags work, it gives a coordinate value to the center of the April tag. So I should be able, so if it's sitting here and it's off center a little bit, it should be able to correct itself till it gets centerish. And then move
Interesting.
forward and stay centered. But right now it won't do that. Right now it's just,
So when the robot moves and say it has to move itself to the right,
right.
does it rotate by 90 degrees and go to the right? Or does it just use the Macam wheels, whatever they are, and move right by spinning the wheels in the right direction?
right now it's turning. So if it
Right, and
needs,
so it actually turns in the direction that it intends to go. So it doesn't take advantage of the make 'em wheels that will allow it to just scoot to
not yet.
the, okay,
My first goal was to just prove that I could even get it to orient itself so that it knows.
okay,
Now, once it, and part of the reason why I'm having it turn is if it's over here on the edge, so it sees the edge marker, it's going to turn. So hopefully we'll see this marker or this marker and know that it's facing north now.
okay.
Now, once it knows where it's at, I want to have it actually take advantage of being able to slide or go sideways. I think the sideways part's going to be, the diagonal part's going to be one that revolves around a lot of math.
Okay,
The rest of it, because all these markers are numbered sequentially from 0 to 48, it should be fairly simple for it to do some simple addition, subtraction, or whatever, and figure out where it needs to go. Should be.
so do the RFIDs just give you a location or they give you an orientation?
They will just give a location.
So you can rotate them in any,
Yeah, the RFIDs don't care where they are or how they're. And you know, right now I'm not even taking advantage of the RFIDs. I put them on the tags mostly because eventually I think I want to do that because that was my old project. And this would be a really cool update to that old project. I ran out of RFID tags. I only had like 43 or 44 RFID tags. So not all of them have RFID tags in them anyway.
so when you buy a merchandise that has RFIDs in them,
Mhm.
can you remove those and reprogram them?
Depends on the tag.
I doubt many of them are reprogrammable, but you could use them for other things. They've got a unique number on them.
Yep, RFID. These all have like a what UUC number, UIC,
UUID,
UUID.
universally unique ID.
Yeah, except that they're not all universal. Two of these tags that are in here actually have the same.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
Hilarious.
it's not. It's not hilarious.
It's not as funny as you would think. Huh?
No. You can take an X-Acto and scrape off one of the old ones and put a different one there.
It was I was running through and scanning them. I'm like, it's the same damn number. So I went back and forth. It's the same
Okay,
number.
if you recognize identical UUIDs, you get an eidetic memory.
It's not as what was being shown as a UID was not as long as you would think, and
Oh, okay.
it was relatively easy to spot that it was scanning the same numbers. But there's like 4 or 5 different numbers that are supposed to be unique to each tag. And that's one of them. And most of the projects that I have seen doing similar things like this are using the UUID because it's supposed to be unique and it's not. So
Oopsies.
there is also a checksum number that it sends. And the checksum number, believe it or not, even between the two ones that have the same code, is different. So they are unique, but they're not unique. Yeah, I know. I said the same thing. There's something, there's some other number in there somewhere that
There has to be.
that it's
yeah.
not showing me that is that makes the checksum number unique. But yeah, there's like 4 or 5 different numbers you can read off of these things. Plus, some of them are programmable, so you could actually program your own. There's 1K,
In these?
8Ks, yeah. Some of the, I think the white ones. So if you look, there's white markers on the
Mhm.
back of the playing card,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
silver. And one of those, I think the white ones are the ones that are programmed. I think the white ones are the ones that have some memory to them. But I don't know, I never programmed them, so.
Yeah, next paycheck and can order a program. Have programs?
It's supposed to program the 1K.
Hmm.
It won't program the 8K apparently, but it will program the 1K.
Leroy, Ray
Yeah.
is trying to get in.
Do what?
Ray's trying to get in.
Again?
I don't know.
It says he's here.
Yeah.
We just can't see him or talk to him because he's muted.
This is pretty good,
Hey,
actually.
no, I'm not muted anymore.
There he is. So I hope this thing still has a charge.
I was just sending you a text message, and so the message that I put into the chat cards
I don't think
for your RFID.
all keys are programmable.
Well, they
I have
reprogram.
some that are really tough. I got some other ones that are like stupid generic.
Well, they reprogram at the front desk or a hotel.
Yeah, and
I think they just read them and then transmit a code to the lock.
Oh, so they reprogram the lock, not the card.
No, I'm wrong.
no, the hotel that I was staying at, they actually reprogrammed the card.
Really?
Yeah, because it had a, I read it, it was clear, it had a date on it from the time that I paid to the time, or
Oh,
from
okay.
the day, the start date to the end date, and it would shut the card off after that.
Okay, neat.
And when I would go down to re-up and repay, they would just take my card and shove it in this thing and it would reactivate the card.
That's
But-
kind of scary.
But,
You can figure out how it encodes the room number.
well,
in
that's
there.
what I was gonna say, my programmers couldn't deal with it, so that must be a higher,
Bigger card.
bigger card or something, but they could read them, but they just couldn't program. So definitely something strange-ish.
Interesting. Okay.
That was wrong. It says that it's heading south now. That was wrong. You're just wrong.
So which is the front?
Oh, the robot,
Yeah.
this is the camera facing down.
Oh, okay.
So that's the
So
front.
so the little blue cube is pointed towards the front. I got it.
And I am trying desperately to have it only read one tag right now. Maybe later I'll try to have it read more than one, but right now my code is very simple. North. See, it said north on the robot. So that is right. So why did you think you were going
No,
south?
that's forward.
That's forward. It moved a little bit more than I wanted it to. West. That's west. It failed though, somewhere. Okay. It should see this tag and turn, and it did, but now it's turned too far, so. My camera died? I think my camera died. Yeah, my camera's dying. Oh. Camera takes a lot of flipping power.
How long does the battery last so that it'll continue to run?
Apparently about 3 minutes.
I think
Okay,
I think the battery on the camera itself is actually bad. I've charged it and it works for a little while and then it just stops.
so there are multiple batteries on this thing?
Yes, there's 3 different batteries. There's the battery on the camera. The battery on the stick C and the battery in the robot. And the problem with trying to charge it while it's on is it always wants to move the camera. Where do you think you're going? East. Eventually it got there. said where it was going. I think if I could keep the camera charged, I think this actually works the way I want it to work.
Can you replace the battery in the camera?
Not as easy as I am looking. This camera is an old camera. It was one of the first AI cameras that M5 came out with. It's now, I think I paid $100 for this camera and it's down to $50. So I'm thinking about just buying a new camera. Because I don't know if you noticed or if you could see it, but the screen is actually cracked in it too. It's seen better days. So I'm not real sure how the screen got cracked. But it did, so.
So the battery on the camera is a LiPo?
Mm-hmm. It's a little tiny thing. It's no bigger than any of the other M5 stack camp batteries.
Is it removable or is it hardwired, soldered in?
I don't know. I've never opened it. I considered opening it because the screen was damaged, and they use a weird proprietary screen size for it too. So the screen,
Really?
yes, the screen. Something else that I had broke, and I asked them what it would cost to replace the screen, and it was as much.
$43.
It was almost as much as just buying a new device. And I was like, so most of the cost is in that stupid screen, huh? That stupid proprietary size screen.
Might be able to put a different size screen in. won't fit in the case, but it'd be twice as big.
Yeah, I think I'm going to, I like that camera. It's a decent camera. So I think I'm going to spend the $50 and buy another camera, and then I'll tear that one apart and see what's in there.
So does the camera have its own firmware that recognizes these tags?
The camera is programmed in MicroPython. And there's an SD card. It's got its own IDE to program it. Once you get it set the way you want it, you just tell it to ship a program called boot.python, boot.pe or py to the SD card, and every time it starts, it will run that firmware. If you plug it into the computer, you can override that firmware. It also has, there's like I wouldn't call it an operating system, but there's actually a real firmware on it that you can modify and change. And some people have actually done that, like have got their boot Python script the way they wanted and everything, and have turned that into actual real firmware. And then they write that to the memory,
So
to the chip itself, and you don't need the SD card anymore.
cool.
They made at the time, they made two different models of this. This one that has I think it's 7420 sensor, the vision sensor, and a smaller one that had the one that was 2520. The smaller one didn't have a screen, so everybody kind of thought, well, you could do your development on this and then just use that later. But because the two sensors
We're different.
quite a bit different, most programs don't.
Nice.
Like for instance, this Python script, I tried to run it on the other one, and it ran. It was fine, except the other one did not recognize any of the tags. Period. Straight up. Until I shined a whole crap load of light onto it.
Weird.
And then it could see the tags, and it was happy.
So what information is it sending back? The tag number that it sees, does it give position information?
Yes. I will attempt. Actually, I should be able to show you what it's doing.
How long does it take to charge the camera battery?
Not long. But like I said, I think the camera body, I think it's actually got a bad cell in it or something, because it's not holding a charge for very long. Okay. Maybe. maybe I could do something. Just do this. Can I just do this? There we go. Let me share the screen. Nope, wrong button. Share the screen with everybody. Share. This is what it's sending.
So these are a series of JTAGs? JSON?
JSON files, yeah.
Yeah. JSON records, yeah.
It's sending the XY coordinates that it sees, and then the height and the width of the tag, the family that the tag belongs to, the center point of the tag. You see here that these are the center points.
Yeah.
Not real sure what the rotation is, but it's sending the rotation and a few other things. And then it will send, I'm not real sure what the translation XY coordinate is either. But the important ones for me, I think, are at least right through here. And I don't really care about the family. I know what family tag I've used.
Okay, so that's for list tag, ID 6.
ID 6. Yep.
Okay,
That is probably not when I was doing this on GIST, I probably was sitting on my desk just flashing
Yeah.
tags in front of it.
so
Because I actually could not get the Python script to send to the Arduino. So the actual GIST was help me figure out how to get it to send all this crap to the Arduino. So that is the actual thing. See, I can't get it to work, and there's my Python script. And then without anybody's help, I actually figured out how to do it because nobody wanted to help me.
Okay.
It was driving me nuts. I had asked, I had posted the question about 5 hours after I figured out how to do it. Somebody came along and said, "Hey, why don't you do this?" And I went, yeah.
How come you've got your comments in Chinese?
Well,
doesn't everybody?
you know, M5 is a Chinese company. So their example code, of course, has a lot of Chinese comments
Okay.
that yeah.
I bought a USB 3 4-port card for my computer. And I was looking at the instructions and it says, if you don't follow the instructions, this won't be covered under warranty. When I opened up the instructions, they were in Chinese. So I have no idea whether I followed the instructions or not.
You could take and highlight that and send it to Google Translate, and it'll tell you what it says. It doesn't matter. But basically, this this script up here, this Python script up here that I was trying to get working is their demo script, and then I added this part here to get the serial port working. And then eventually I figured out that I needed to add those two lines to get it to print the entire JSON string to the serial port. But basically, if you take those 5 or 6 lines that I added out, that's their demo code. So no magic there.
So its output is the code it sees with a little red X on it.
Yeah, it's output. It outputs that. And it's my Arduino code is only looking for that every once in a while, but the camera is just banging the crap out of the serial port. So now, of course, with the camera being programmable, you could have it figure out better center points and, you know, give you corrections and some other stuff, but I'm having the Arduino do all that.
So what are the X and Y, W and H? I had assumed where it is on the screen and the width and height that it sees it at. But every place I see an X of 106, W is 36. And that just doesn't really fit.
Except that it's still tag 6. Tag 6 is,
Meaning it was always in exactly the same position? That doesn't make sense. And it's not. Oh yeah, it is. Never mind.
it does if I had them all laying out on the table, or if I had
So
them.
the X106 is part of the ID6? Doesn't
I
follow
had
for the
I
others.
what I printed all these out on a sheet of 8.5 by 11, and I just had that sheet of paper laying on the table, getting it to read.
Okay,
So
so they were always in the same position.
so unless I moved the camera or something, 6 should have always been wherever 6 was on that
654.
on that sheet of paper. In the center, see the height's changed a little bit, but the center point hasn't changed between the two. So there's the center point, and there's the center point. And the rotation of it, so the camera must have moved just a little because the rotation changed a little too. If you look, but
Yeah, if that's degrees, I'm curious why they take that out to 5 decimal places.
I'm not real sure what the rotation is actually trying to tell me.
Yeah,
That's probably in,
gradients.
not in degrees. It's in radians, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm honestly not real sure what the rotation is trying to tell me.
Well,
'Cause-
let's get out the plastic protractor, because we need 6 decimal points of accuracy.
Like I said, I think the important numbers here are from this point over. You know, the 106, the 50, 54. I'm not real sure if I need to know the height because the camera hasn't really moved, or the width, and they're all the same size.
Well, I see under the H, I see varying numbers though.
Yeah, the height does change. The width is,
I see everything from 11 to 17.
yeah. I mean, that would tell me that I moved the camera either forward or backward a little.
Hmm.
I'm sure I was holding the camera. It wasn't on the robot. I'm sure I was holding it, trying to get it to tell me stuff. And I had the cable plugged in so that I could get it the output to the serial console instead of whatever. I think, though, out of all the projects I've tried to attempt over the past month or so, this is the closest I've gotten to one that's actually worked.
Leroy, are you posting your code in the forum?
It's on. No.
Okay.
Until I get it working a little bit better, I wasn't going to post it anywhere.
Okay.
Top fans.
And I probably would post it in my own GitHub repository, but I'll post a link. Or I'll give somebody a link or something.
It's
Okay.
one of the laptops I use, and we're just crap.
Feed through.
Cool, yeah, those people use those things.
Now, can you tell what the percentage charge is on the camera battery?
No.
Sufficient or not?
Broken or not broken? Where are you going? Oh yeah, you're heading west. Kind of jumped all over the place to do it, but you're heading west.
I thought that was north.
That's north.
Toward the camera is north.
That's north.
Now, that's local north according to this map.
According to this map.
Okay.
Yes, I should have called it top, bottom, left, and right, but no, I have to be complicated. I have to do things different.
Well, when we're in the car and we're driving along, Julie always grabs the map, turns it around. So that the front of the car and the map are pointed in the same direction.
That was wrong, unless. That's wrong. That is not facing east.
Well, it's kind of northeast, isn't it?
No.
Let's see. There may be a problem with at least part of my code. West. That's better. Maybe I put
Okay.
the markers in the wrong spot.
Well, that's for the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, well, I may have programmed the markers. I may have switched the two in the code. It's not a big deal. I'll fix it. But the idea is these are boundary markers and they're all the same number. So all the west markers are all 203 or 201.
Here's a 203.
Yes,
You just switched those.
I
two.
just switched them. Okay. Because it said, it saw that and said east, and I said, that's not east.
I was thinking about something else and did not catch that. Sorry.
That's not east. So, all these are 202s are south, 200s are north, 201s are supposed to be east, but apparently they're back asswards. So the idea is if it sees, there's two things happening. If it sees the 202, when it first starts and tries to orient itself, it's supposed to turn and see the next marker and then say, okay, I am facing east. Now, that may be what's going on too. I may have my left and right backwards in the code because it looked to me like it came here and it turned that direction and it should have turned that direction. So my left and right in the code may be wrong. Either way, it's not right. So something's not right. I'll figure it out. But also when it's traveling, because what happens is the camera can only see the tag that the next tag in front of it. So if you tell it to go to 5.1, for instance, it's got to see, if it's facing south, it's got to see 4.3 to know that it's on 5.1. Tag 43 to know that it's on tag 36.
Liar's poker.
Yeah, it's got to see this tag to know that it's actually here. Or if it's facing east, it's got to see tag 37 to know that it's actually sitting close to tag 36. Now, if I get the RFID working, that part of it won't matter because it should be able to roll over and go, oh, okay, whatever this tag number is the same as 37. So there's a couple of different reasons. So if I needed to go to 6.2, for instance, which would be tag 44, and it's facing south to do it, it's got to see a 202 in order to know to stop. This is when it's actually moving to actually go somewhere, this will be its stop marker instead of its turn marker for orientation purposes. And the other thing is if it starts up here on 23, and I need it to get over here, well, it could do that in a couple of different ways. It could turn diagonal and go diagonal, but it's still going to have to stop. Now it's going to be off, so it's got to turn and go there. It's still going to need a stop marker. Or it could come from 23 down to 44, and it would see the stop, and then it could slide over, and it could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 markers and stop.
That seems harder.
It does. It seems like it should just come down and say, okay, I'm going to turn and just drive over. But I want to take advantage of the fact that it can slide. So up in here, I want it to slide. Because there's no reason to have the mechanism if it's not going to slide. Anyway, it's still a work in progress. I wanted to get the orientation thing where it can self-orient. And it seems like with a couple of sections, it's actually doing that. So if we're
I'm reminded of something, and you may have seen it. There is a
north.
woodworking computerized router that you put tape on the subsurface, and the camera knows where it is on that.
West,
So this is similar to that, but they gotta get within millimeters, I'm thinking with that.
Oh, hundredths of them.
Well, once they get it within a certain point physically, then within the framework within that takes over, and it's within the
Oh,
hundreds
it
of
neat.
thousands.
my camera. Turn that.
Whoever did that work on that computerized router had to solve the same problem. Not physically making the wheels turn and all that, because you did that. You provided the motivation.
That strip is probably like an encoder strip though, right?
Mhm.
So it's probably got hundreds of thousands of hash marks on it.
It really doesn't. It's got markers similar to these, but about 2-inch spacing.
And you have to provide enough length that covers the entire object that you're going to be working with. So it's not limited to this table, for example. If you had a 60-foot sailboat and you wanted to mark the deck, you would work on that.
You don't need to cover the entirety of the thing that you want to cut. You just put a strip along 2 edges.
Wherever you need it to have the orientation.
Mhm.
And so if we're not doing anything at that end, you know, but if we're creating a fixture here and want to create another one down there, it's say offset by 60 centimeters. Then the
Yeah,
tape has to
you have to be in between. Yeah.
it has to be continuous. So,
So it's east.
It's mostly east.
There's something wrong with how it's detecting the borders. It's not doing the borders right.
Oh,
It did stop. It
if
just
he was
means
reading that, it should have said north.
it should have said north. It shouldn't have gone off in a diagonal. It should have tried to go in a straight line. But
now,
there's
is this-
definitely something not quite right.
this is humor, of course. Is this adjusted for the day of the year where the sun rises?
Yes, yes, it is.
It's Stonehenge.
It's adjusted for the fact that there's no adjustments.
Work is rough at Stonehenge when they have to correct for daylight savings. Move the rocks.
Dig a new hole. Something not quite right. It's not detecting the borders right, which I'm sure it was doing it at the house, but it seems like it's all right in the center. It's just the borders are where it's having its problem, where it's having its big issue.
You know, the algorithm for the pathway that it's going to follow. Then you set it to be strictly rectilinear, or are you doing diagonals?
I want to do diagonals, but I know that's going to be a lot more.
Okay, how does it figure out its pathway now?
Right now, it doesn't.
How should it?
Right now,
If the numbers it sees changes in big steps going up, it knows it's going south. It changes in big steps going down, it's going north. If it changes by 1, it's going east or west.
yes, that's pretty much how it works. Each one of these numbers, north to south, is 7 different. So 0, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42. Each one of these numbers left to right, 1 or 40, 42, 43, 44, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, when you set it down before, it took off within a diagonal. And that was what I was asking is,
Was that on purpose?
It was not on purpose. And so I haven't quite adjusted how it turns just yet.
Mhm.
I've got rough turning in it that contour of the surface of the table and everything else is going to, you know, battery life is going to affect how it turns. So it's not a perfect 90 degrees.
it doesn't have a good feedback loop.
There is absolutely no feedback loop on this small robot. Does not have any feedback,
Okay.
which has been a problem with this particular kind of wheel in the first place, because these wheels definitely need some sort of feedback. But I'm going to deal with that by being able to look at the center of these markers and go, okay, that's the center. That's the center. Oh, I'm off center a little bit, and then slide over to either this center or that center, depending upon.
If your
Well-
field of view takes in at least 2 markers, you can tell what your rotation is.
Maybe that's what the rotation is doing.
I'm sure you know this already. I'm being inquisitive, not critical.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I'm trying to. There's certain things that I just wanted to prove that it could do it. I just wanted to make it do it.
Which is like 20,000 steps ahead of what I'm asking about. So I just wanted to make certain that you understood.
Yeah.
It was
No.
an inquiry, not a criticism.
No, I love coming down here because there's room on this table. I don't have room. My table is about half this size. So I can test it sort of, and it looked like it was working, and obviously there's something still not right with it. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's, but as far as it actually turning goes, there's nothing that's going to tell it that it is actually turned 90 degrees. It is turned. Okay, that's off. So it's going to roll this way a little bit, and then it's going to see that probably and go, oh, I need to turn again. Now it's off again.
Or it's gonna see the edge and say, oh, I'm near the edge, I better stop.
Or it's not going to see anything at all, which is
Okay.
possible, like right there. And it's just going to sit there and go, I'm stupid, I don't know what
When
to
it
do.
turns, does it turn like 90 degrees?
Ideally, if I had a good feedback loop, ideally 90 degrees would be great. But right now, it's all time-based, and it depends on, you know, if the battery is full charged or.
You have no control.
No,
But now it doesn't need to be with the camera. You can tell it to turn until the
until it's,
marker is centered in the field of view.
exactly. But I didn't do
So
that.
that could still give you diagonals.
I didn't do that yet because I just wanted to prove that at least at this stage, you know, it sees this marker, it moves forward a little bit, it sees this marker, now it knows it's facing south. Or it sees this marker, it moves forward a little bit, it sees this marker, now it knows it's facing east. And even if you watch it, it moves too far. I mean, it really should only move 1 block. So my timing of 50 milliseconds is even too much. It probably should be more like 10 milliseconds or something. So
Yeah, the local motion is based on an approximation
a guess.
of something else. How many Coca-Colas does it take from here to St. Louis?
Exactly. And if you drink all of them, you have to stop how many times?
It's not well calibrated.
No, and I mean,
I meant the Coca-Cola, but not this.
hopefully though, there's, you know, I want to add the RFID to it. And if I add the RFID, you know, each one of these markers on the back side, well, most of the markers have RFID tags. So now if I go and where's my RFID reader? Oh, there it is. So now if I have that and it reads that tag, now it at least knows that it is in 3.3, marker number 24. Now it can move forward and go just one time and go, okay, I'm facing east. And probably read this tag just to verify that it actually.
Now, how big a range do you have to, how close does the emitter and receiver have to be to the RFID?
Not that far.
Okay, so it can't pick up an errant signal from the next one.
It'd be very hard. I'm not saying that it would be impossible, but okay, it would be pretty hard. It's actually, it could either read from this side or this side, but it's actually fairly localized. So if I could figure out a way to mount that underneath, that would almost be perfect. I mean, it's actually closer than it used to be to read.
That also cuts down its ability to read the nearby ones.
But if it had a reference point of where it actually started, it wouldn't need to move two to find out something. It would just need to move one.
Now, if it was sitting here,
Well,
it's not gonna read either one of them, or it's gonna read both of them.
let's see what that does. I don't think it would read either one of those. It might.
How directional is the RFID reader?
It's fairly directional. It saw something, so it said that it went north. So it saw some tag somewhere sitting there in the middle. It's fairly directional. It doesn't, it can't read two tags. So if I had these stacked, it couldn't read them.
Either or the bottom.
Either one. It just has a.
Okay, now, do you have a real-time display as to what that's seeing?
I have, yes, there's a sketch that I can bring up.
Okay, so no, I'm imposing, but if you brought that sketch up now, and you put it there, you wouldn't know what it's going to say.
No, it wouldn't read that. Okay. See, because your RFID tags, it's a loop of wire. If you look at that, there's a loop of wire, and there's a little microchip in there. This thing, inductive couplers kind of deal. This is sending out, has a loop of wire and it's sending out electric. So it has to actually pass over that to induce a charge into the wire to get it to.
Okay. Well, current passports have an RFID embedded in them, and you wouldn't want to have to get that close to a TSA agent for them to read your passport.
They work probably on a different frequency, and probably their readers probably are much higher powered.
Okay. So
I mean,
you can scan and be sterilized simultaneously.
they used to have RFID readers here at the library. Remember those
Yeah.
Different frequency. If we took and got one of the books, this reader couldn't read the RFID tag.
Understand it's specific to the technology.
Yeah, so it's a different frequency, it's a different power level. those tag readers could read a bunch of them at one time. This one has a problem with. Okay. But that's, the basic idea is the same. They all work pretty much the same. There's a coil of wire. You pass it out, you induce a current into it and it zoxes off a quick thing, and this thing picks up the difference or the changes. That the basic idea behind them, they all pretty much work the same. Different frequencies, but they all pretty much work the same way.
Different frequency and ranges, so.
They make, there's industrial, this was probably a commercial RFID reader here at the library. There are industrial RFID readers that are like big cone deals, and they all kind of point, and they were doing reading tags and stuff in factory work before April tags and Aruku markers were a thing. They were using RFID to do all that.
Well, it's been a while since I read about it, but they were talking about being able to take a palletized group of boxes and read everything as it would pass the reader.
Yep. Well, that's the industrial ones could do that, and they usually had like 5 or 6 of them set up in the corners, and warehouse space is huge, so they were pumping some power into them.
So if you had one that could see all 4 of those, you'd know where you were. But this one,
That's a hobby grade one. There's no really. I mean, I could buy 4 of the readers and stick them at 4 corners of the robot and maybe do it.
okay, so if you have
Yeah.
the tags like that,
It would probably just read the one tag that it's sitting directly on. I know it won't read tags that are stacked. That just confuses it. I am 99.99% sure that where you've got it sitting at right now,
you won't read
it
it.
won't read anything. It actually has to pass over those tags and induce a current into those coils.
So
Now the industrial ones they work a little same idea, but different.
I understand. So you have a scalpel here, but you're operating a chainsaw.
Yeah.
It could, at this point, I'm now lucky to have brain surgery with you. So
Hang on. Let me get that RFID out there.
Does that send back any distance info?
No, this thing really just reads the numbers that are on the tag, and it can program the ones that are programmable. The 1K programmable, not the 8Ks. So, I mean, it's pretty limited as to what it can and can't do. But for most hobby kind of things, doesn't really matter. And really, it really would be a good proof of concept kind of deal for, doing something like this back in the day at a warehouse or something. You need to put RFID tags like that video from last week where there were RFID tags embedded in the floor, and the robot could follow the RFID tags.
Yeah.
Of course, that was quite a bit different.
Do current motel, hotel keys have an RFID in the card? And if so, they're relatively cheap. Would that be of some benefit as opposed?
See, I didn't bring any of the RFID tags that I got really. I've got some blank tags that are basically hotel card key. Um, they're pretty much the same. See, that one doesn't have a tag on it. That one doesn't have a tag on it. They're pretty much the same as that, only they look like a credit card or
Yeah.
a business card or whatever. When you're talking about for the hobby grade stuff, I mean, you're kind of limited to what you can do. I am able to read some of the hotel key ones, but I wasn't able to write to any of them. So, now I know you can write to them because I've seen them do it. They've got a programmer. So it's obviously working on a similar frequency, at least similar enough to be read, but not something that can be programmed. My guess is that it's probably an 8K card or bigger to, this thing can't program it. But it's only a guess because I really don't know. And some of the cards I can't read at all, so. But
Yeah, the hotel guys, that I could see what Bisbee, they would be using Bisbee because that would be great for that, particularly if you're talking about all the locks on all the doors. Bisbee would be super for that. It does a link. It'll jump from one to the other, so you don't have to.
From one lock to another lock.
Yeah, it passes along. It's the daisy chain. Yeah.
Except for room 12, it's stubborn. It doesn't want to talk to
Yeah.
anybody else.
Oh, you met that girl? Oh, no.
yeah. The one car is the one hotel that me and Patty stayed at for about a year. I read their tags a couple of times, and it had the date that we checked in and the date that we were supposed to vacate.
Wow.
So I know they're programmable.
There's some of the Bisbee IoT things I noticed for $20 or so. And that would be way cool because you had that trouble with my burglar alarm system. You get way better into the house. It's not too cool. Bisbee will fix that. It relay through everywhere there. Why hasn't Bisbee taken off? Charge too much.
What's Bisbee?
It's like Bluetooth, except it goes, each device that it talks to will repeat to the next device. So it's like with your Wi-Fi, if you're at one end of the house, you're far away. And the other end of the house, talk to the other end of the house, it's gonna be a long distance. With Bisbee, if you're talking to somebody in the middle, you'll relay to the guy at the other end of the house. That's what Bisbee does. Well, I understand that anyway. Oh, you got anything new? What's going on with you?
Just a few things that aren't going home. I tried to look this up. It's USB hub, Microsoft Expert Zone. I'm pretty certain it's like a USB 3/4, not even as good as a 1, but I don't have any way of seeing. When I was using before I got a multi-port card for the computer, I was using this for some of the devices. And it's slow as sin. But I didn't have any other way other than the color to see what the speed of it was. And white, as I understand it, is a USB 2. blue is 3. Black is 4. Not
I've
always.
seen white on one and two.
Yeah, I was gonna say white could be 1.1 or 2.
The thing to do would be to check the chip that's in it.
Well, I didn't know whether anybody needed a very low functioning hub.
I can honestly say that I do not need another low-powered USB hub.
Okay. And in terms of hand sanitizer,
Okay, I'll do one.
they do their small.
I know Gail had one in my car, so.
Yeah, that stuff eats my hands up. It eats Patty's hands up. Everybody gets more.
And what doesn't go home just stays here.
Oh, let's see.
And this could be cannibalized if these fans are of any value to anybody for anything other than it's cooler.
What is it?
It's a laptop cooler. You set your laptop on top of it and put it in the power source and USB.
It's a bird.
Oh, a little fan.
Yep, there's a hummingbird.
It's the hummingbird.
That's not taken from my camera. My camera's resolution is not, my wire-free camera is not, resolution is not that good.
My friend is looking at a laptop that is water cooled.
Oh.
And I have never heard of a water cooled laptop.
Well, most of your laptops are liquid cooled or
Yeah.
are gas slash liquid cooled.
How do they not?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yours is absolutely.
Amazingly enough.
If it has a
yes.
fan in it, yeah.
It's got heat
And it
pipes
works.
that have the copper pipes with alcohol and a piece of yarn through them. And when you heat it up, that's all they have in it. There's no air, just alcohol and yarn and not enough alcohol to fill it. So when you heat it up, it boils the liquid alcohol, which moves to the other end of the pipe where it gives off its heat in fins. And then the yarn sucks it back down to the dry end.
It's like a heat sink that.
Mhm.
Phase change is where you get.
What's that?
Big
Oh,
chunk.
oh, this is-
We call it turtle.
Big liquid cooler.
That's
A
got
wafer and back and forth,
steam.
back and forth.
and freezing in. You get
But, so liquid laptops are dime a dozen.
Well, no, it was advertised as liquid cooled.
Yes,
My
they
guess is- Yeah, my guess is that it has little water connectors on it and it runs slow if it's not connected. And you can hook it up to a radiator. I don't know.
I thought
or
they
maybe it
had
has a
garden
tank
hose.
in it.
That'd be nice.
I
And
told
what's the
him
advantage otherwise?
you can hook up to a garden hose and keep it. But his goal was, he wants a laptop that can handle all kinds of games. Yeah, that's what it is.
Stay away from it.
This is not directly related to that, but the story my dad used to tell, he was recovering from paralysis in the early 30s. He had been hired as a custodian slash maintenance man in a parochial school. And the instructor was on the 3rd floor and wanted him to move the steam radiator down about 20 feet. He tried to explain to her that they were connected to the boiler in the basement. And she said, well, Mr. Sullivan, it's just 2 little pipes.
It's just 2 little pipes.
And he said he was really tempted to just cut the pipes, cap them, and move the radiator, drill a couple holes in the floor, and stick 2 little pipes into it. But he needed the job and was afraid he would have been fired.
So this is air cooled, water cooled.
Well,
Does it have a fan in it?
Not like, I can't remember seeing a fan or hearing a
It
fan.
may not even have a fan. If it has a fan, it probably is liquid or
The heat pipes are amazingly practical and useful, cheap.
And amazingly enough,
But
They-
it has
they-
to have a fan to have that feature that its speed just
Well,
means that.
no, it doesn't. The Macs use the heat pipes, but one end is adhered to the CPU and the other to the case. So your lock becomes part of the
part
core.
of the cooling.
So I'm finding electronics, ELUKTR, sells liquid cooled laptops. And yeah, just like I was talking about, it's got a little removable connector on the back.
Uh-huh.
And it comes with a box about the size of a shoebox. It's got fans and radiators in it. And the reservoir is probably the pump.
The outside condenser.
Pretty much. They used to have liquid coolers when they were new at Micro Center, and I always kind of wanted to get one. And then I thought, yeah, everything I've ever touched it's got liquid in it leaks. But they had one that had a tower about this tall from the floor. So
Just
sat
for-
there,
Just drop it, just drop your thing into,
nitrogen.
what is that, pure vegetable
Oh, mineral
oil? More mineral oil, yeah.
oil. Yeah, no.
No. Yeah,
Well, it was normally selling for 3,200 and we got 1,500. And it's like Microsoft. I said, that's too much for me. I wouldn't do it.
I don't understand, because one of my kids is a gamer, and he's got the $200 keyboard and the $300 mouse that weighs like 7 grams. I've offered him laptops. Is that no? I needed a high frequency display that's this big, and I don't know, I just can't see.
What it is, he's got this Microsoft program that allows him to simulate flying a plane.
Okay,
And he's got this little headset he puts on, okay? And he can walk around and move the sticks and, find the airport and try to land the plane. And it's got various plane types, 747, 7, whatever.
Yeah.
And he says he needs that power in order to run that program.
yeah, okay.
like simulator from 30 years ago.
Yeah, okay, but this is the latest version, okay? Got F-16s in it and
He would probably do better instead of putting that much money into the laptop, putting it into a USB-C connected graphics card. Because graphics cards are where your picture comes from.
Yeah.
And that's where the hard work is done. Yeah. Some of the graphics cards in the market right now are just incredible. But at work this morning, I had to replace memory in a Dell R740. It's an $8,000 server. It's pretty cheap, the servers go, honestly. But it had $20,000 worth of video cards in it. Yeah. Yeah, there's. And they're just video cards, but okay, these video cards don't have video outputs. They don't need it. That's not what they're there for.
so what are they there for?
They're there to do machine learning stuff. They do a lot of stuff.
a lot of processing power.
His good thing is he's gonna land this plane, and he's trying to learn how to land planes. Okay, and whatever he's got, he just chokes on it. So he's saying,
Maybe it's the pilot.
Well, my video card does the decompression for my cameras.
Mhm.
That's an option, and then I used to use a video card. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Art, what's going on in California, man?
Not much. You know,
So what's with the new background?
I just put up a different image, that's all.
Okay,
That image is actually Milford, is not California.
that's what I figured. That's not a California house.
Vicente, you doing anything?
Well, no, they have houses like that in California. That would cost you someplace between 10 and $15 million.
Too much land. It's not too much land. It's not close to your neighbor.
Well, that's true,
Certainly not.
but we have the default situation is you have fences on your lot so that you have some privacy.
Yeah.
More of that.
That cinder block gets in the way sometimes.
Cool.
I'm having fun.
Vicente, what you doing, man?
No, not much, too much landscaping. And too-
Landscaping,
and-
oh,
yeah,
yeah. Yard
and-
boy.
Too hot and too humid day. It's very hard to work outside with this weather. I'll be tomorrow in California again.
Oh, you can go see Art.
I'll be
So-
in Palo Alto. I have dinner tomorrow in Palo Alto.
So is your daughter still there?
Yes, she will come back on Saturday, so we will pick her and come back with all the stuff she bought, the fans and all the stuff. She spent the last 2 months buying stuff, so she needs an additional bag to
One
come back.
bag, additional one, huh?
Just
Yeah.
one.
So what you want to do is ship all that stuff, not bring it back on a plane.
Well, we already planned to go, and my wife and I will be with a carry-on and a couple of suitcases. So it's okay, no problem at all.
We have another, this is, what land are we in? Reality, this is not reality, okay? We've sampled different worlds. Kenny's world, Jim's world, Leroy's world.
Leroy mine's own little world.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking unless your daughter has Fabergé eggs, a Kmart fan should stay in California because it's cheaper to buy a new one here than it is to ship that one from California.
This is true.
You know, I'm thinking the American Express card works here and works in California too, you know?
oh, there's Ray.
All
Ray.
right.
Hey,
Hey,
Oh, no.
Are you in this, what time zone are you in, Ray?
I am in West Texas, I think. I'm in Texas.
you are in the state of
I think.
Ray doesn't know where he's at. Yeah, the state of confusion.
I'm in Texas. I don't know if I'm in West Texas or East Texas.
Well, it's all central time zone though.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say hi to everybody.
Hi.
I got to listen to the
Hi,
entire event. I had some stuff to say, but I was like, I need to pay attention to my driving a little bit more. So I am at my my destination right now. I'll probably spend a couple hours and head home. Always got lots of stuff going on, and don't know if that's good or bad or what, but
It is what it
I
is.
definitely enjoy it. Yeah.
Be back in Cincinnati.
Tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon. So I'm hoping that you are available this weekend.
Yes.
I don't know,
Will
there's
you
a
give me
a ham fest this weekend.
Oh gosh. Call me and tell me when you're available. If you're available from like 8 till midnight on Saturday, I'll take it. Whatever. Okay,
Ray,
Okay,
we went by the building in downtown Middletown and admired the new windows you had put in. It's really a nice improvement.
it is pretty, and there are many, many more things to come. Some of it's a secret, but I'll tell you guys when I'm allowed. So
Well,
it's a lot of things going on.
compliment you on the change. It's a nice one.
Thank you. Thank you. I think a lot of people have recognized, what we're trying to do there, and what we are doing. It's not just a promise and an empty promise, but there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening inside the building, but multiple buildings all over Middletown, trying to get some stuff done, and a lot of things happening today. And I'm even in Texas, and Carol's taking care of them, and things going on. But got about 3 months. Most of the work is going to be done by then, and then we'll be looking for the next project, which we have a huge prospective project coming. So, but I'm hoping that my next immediate project is going to be some server stuff. So, Steve.
Well, we got to get
All
the two of you in the same time zone.
Yeah, well, if I told Carol that Steve is available, Carol would probably cancel my next several visits with people. And she'd be like, hey, Ray, you got priorities here. So
Just get it done.
get it done, Steve. I mean, so well, I got to get going. Talk to you guys.
Keep going.
Have
Yeah.
a steak while you're there.
Look forward.
In 1971, I was hiking from Fort Polk, Louisiana to Kansas City. I got a ride with somebody going through Texas at 2:30 in the morning. To this day, I have no idea where the hell I was.
Texas.
yeah,
Texas,
somewhere in Texas.
somewhere in Texas. I know it wasn't south because there was no water, but other than that,
I kind of felt like that when I went through Illinois. Just corn.
Well, back in
Oh, no.
46,
You want corn, go to Kansas. Kansas is impossibly wide.
Kansas, maybe it was all I remember.
Kansas and Nebraska.
Corn. Where are we? Cornfield. Corn.
I have one
Corn.
good picture from Kansas. This was when they were first building the wind turbines out there. And it's a hill with cattle on it and a windmill. But at the base is an old windmill, and it gives you an idea of the scale of
it's
this thing.
huge. Is it?
Yeah,
It's surprising that the slope of Kansas, people say it's flat.
it's not.
It's plainer, but it's got an incline. So if you're going from Kansas City, the west edge, to the west edge, you're getting
Well, about a mile.
yeah, pretty damn close. You drive down into Denver, and that's mile high.
I guess we did drive down into Denver.
Yeah, Kansas is about the same altitude as Cincinnati, a little lower, at 430 feet.
On the eastern edge. But when you
I'm
get-
sorry, Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that was going through there in Kansas City, Missouri. And I was going, oh, a city. Where are we at? Oh, we must be near Kansas City. Why? Because it's the only city I've seen for the past 12 hours.
I drove from seeing the girls slowing down in the flatbed Ford, Flagstaff, Arizona, to Wichita, Kansas in one sitting.
Ooh,
And at that point, there's nothing. There's nothing between those two.
I hitchhiked all over the place, but one of my trips was from Tucson back here to Cincinnati. And that was done in 2 hauls. Me driving halfway and Brent driving halfway. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
When we went to California, when I took my buddy to California, took about a week to get out there, 5
Mhm.
days, 7 days, something like that.
That was leisurely.
Yeah, we took our time. We did sightsee. We did stop at some places I would probably have never been able to go to. But on the way back, I was so ready. I was so done with LA. I was so just done with the trip that I came back in like 4 days. I was like, I am done with this. I'll sleep in the car when
Mhm.
I'm just ready to go.
When I left LA, I went kind of south and followed up through Yuma. And I was in a little Volkswagen GTI and I stayed 2 feet off the bumper of the semis all night long. I was trying to get across Arizona. I didn't succeed. It was interesting.
Got out in the middle of, I think it was Nevada desert somewhere. And that was where I stopped and slept because there was nothing out there and it was dark and I was tired by
Yeah.
that point. And I was just, okay. And it was calm and peaceful and nothing was going on. Nobody was bothering me.
Finding the edge of the road.
What time of year was this?
It was early spring.
Did you go through Red Rock on the way back?
Okay.
We stopped, we went, we hit Rachel, Nevada, Area 51. We were going to stop at the Grand Canyon, but we were running out of time.
Mhm.
Stopped in Vegas. We spent way too much time in Vegas. I
And
hated
money.
Vegas and money. It wasn't my money, but we spent way too much time in Vegas. We saw nice place, nice little touristy trap kind of place up on top of one of the mountains in Colorado. Spent some time up there. We hit Route 66 for a while. We were on 66 for a while. We went all over the place. The one place that I wanted to go was the Grand Canyon, and we just run low on time to
Did
do
you ever
it.
get there? Yeah. It is amazing.
What amazes me about that is the land surrounding the Grand Canyon is like this table.
Yep.
It's not like you drive down. You drive up, there's a fence, and on the other side of that fence, there's nothing. It just drops off. It's not a gradual decline. When we were out west about 10 years ago, we were driving, Julie was driving, and I looked out the window and I was just looking at the stuff by the side of the road. We encountered a place that there was a liquor, beer bottle, beer can in every square foot, where it had to be 50 miles. And came back and pulled up Google Earth, and there was so many liquor containers, you could drive along the highway, Google Earth or Google Maps, and look at it. I have yet to figure out who consumed all of that, because there wasn't anything out there. But I have one more thing to say, and it's not really that important or relevant, but coming back from the trip where I drove to Wichita, I would have stopped in western Kansas So I pulled into this little bitty town. And it was a slaughterhouse town. And the stench from the slaughterhouse. I grew up in Kansas City,
Oh, really?
and that the stench from the slaughterhouses when I was growing up, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
As a little kid think, I wondered, why did my mother's mother live 2 blocks from the slaughterhouse?
Cheap property.
Because she couldn't afford to live anyplace
There
else.
you go.
And she worked at the slaughterhouse.
And she did. When my mother's father died, my mother was about 3 months old. And I have a photograph of my mother's mother when she was just had been born, and another one 10 years later. 10 years of work at a slaughterhouse. That's his hope. But I don't know how to characterize the smell other than say it's distinct.
It's a stench.
Well,
Steve,
the rendering of it,
remember this?
Yeah.
There's one you can put it on,
Okay.
okay? It's too much for the laptop, you know. Try to put
this
it on,
has a
I guess.
texture,
Okay.
like it's a
But I thought you might
canvas.
just,
It's some sort of
Take it
vinyl.
from here and put it
Well, I
on
was
there.
thinking
This
that
tells
was
us-
intended
stuff
to
on
be
there.
printed
Yeah, don't
on
worry about it.
Or
We got
like,
another copy of it.
large-
I have another.
photographic.
card, so.
Are you sure?
Yeah. positive.
Okay.
It's not quite the same texture as the vinyl.
It feels kind
Can't
of like a
hurt.
canvas. Did you feel it?
So two,
Yeah, it does.
two,
Oh, yeah, that's some tough stuff there.
and there's the one you need to.
That's-
36 inch wide,
Which they're on, so.
HP. I can't read that upside down.
The
Opaque.
backup that's on
Scrim?
here isn't complete, is it?
No,
I don't know anything about this.
no,
Is there anything else on here that you need?
no, that's what you gave to me.
Anyway.
Use that and put it on your laptop.
This,
Okay.
Well, it was a little too much.
this is the map
Okay.
that I redesigned with April tags, so I'm going to have them print. And it's on the automation technology GitHub thingamabob if anybody wants it, along with other things, if anybody wants it. And there is a Cincinnati Ham Fest on the 13th.
Where?
It's down off of 50 Claremont Fairgrounds, Claremont County Fairgrounds.
Okay. You know where those are, and I live in Claremont County.
Is it big? You're probably, it's, I think it's part of Milford's
Yeah.
Ham Fest. It's not small, but it's not huge. I mean, it's 8 hours or 12 hours or something like that. It's not a huge, it's a 1-day deal.
Lucas Street in Owensville.
Yeah,
Do
that's,
we have beer?
I know they
It's a
got food
fairground,
trucks. They've got pictures of food trucks, so I know
Okay.
they got food trucks.
They got beer then.
Do you have a printer that will print on that?
No, do you?
No. Steve does, though. That's the reason.
I don't.
Oh, it's
But-
gave it away.
But Steve shoved that over to me like he was giving that to me. I would love a printer, another printer, because I mean, that's nice material.
Have you got room for one?
No.
Ray probably has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we might be able to hook up with Ray and print some of this stuff that we were paying $15 for.
Ray has big laser printers. roll out a sheet of that and
That would, might
pretty
be,
much be done with it.
that might be.
That was it, the thing that, I loaded, helped you load in back of your
Mhm.
car, that was an HP plotter, wasn't it?
I don't think it was an HP, but yeah, it was a plotter.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it was HP.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
All
that
I
was-
remember is that it had been sitting on the top shelf in the computer room for like 2 years, and I thought, wow, it's really cool.
Yeah,
But if I haven't used it for 2 years, somebody needs to.
I had a vinyl cutter that was basically a plotter, but it cut vinyl. And I had a plotter. And when we moved from Monroe to Middletown, I ended up donating both of those to a maker place because
Then check with the guy here, see if he could use it.
they, on their website, they say they won't take other material. You have to pretty much use their material.
Well, that's identified, so they may be willing to take something that has.
I don't know,
Original manufacturing mark.
I mean, we could stop down there and see if they let us use that.
Well,
But I don't know what they would charge us because they still would have to charge something.
it's the biggest laser Ray keeps on hand. I know it'll do 3x3 at least.
I never even thought about laser cutting, laser etching.
Should go pretty quick.
That would be interesting. It would be interesting just to see it do it. Even if it's,
I've had that kicking around in the garage, obviously, with all the dust. But it seems to me that this paper was set up to accept inkjet,
Mhm.
and that it was like a clay coating on the textured side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fine papers are typically clay coated. They have oak in it and typically clay coated, yeah.
That plotter, I think I told you, Julie and I took it off the top shelf and set it on the floor. I kept bumping into it with the chair. So I tipped it up on end so that I wouldn't keep running into it. And the sump for all the ink leaked out into the parquet floor. Had to cut sections of parquet out and replace it. That's why I remember. Okay, anybody have any interest in fans? We'll just leave it here, and somebody who comes in is gonna think it's.
I'm curious if they're 12-volt fans running slow or 5-volt fans that be surprisingly loud.
Why won't?
somewhere it probably says you.
When I was in high school, we went to Fisher Body through the drafting department because I was in the drafting class. And they had a 10 block that I've looked for ever since. It was big enough to do a side view of a full-size van. It was huge. It was the size of a room.
A pin plotter?
Yeah,
Wow, that's
Yeah.
big.
ran old HPGL. It was neat.
Now Ray has a pin plotter too, not that,
Really?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, that
I
would
think so.
work
That
really
would
well.
work good on a pin plotter.
But you know, how often does he use it? You probably haven't used it.
If it's an actual pen blotter.
I think it is. Ask him, see if that, I saw a machine sitting over on top of some filing cabinets and I thought it was a pin plotter, but Ray will know.
Ray-
Get to see him this week, maybe.
Ray had 2 or 3 different plotters last time I was at his place, so.
There's a guy, he has a site called Stuff Made Here.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen the one where he is painting the wall in the warehouse?
Yeah. Made a big plotter.
Oh,
big plotter. And the spray can, the dots for the imaging about that big around.
So now you can buy wallpaper, custom wallpaper. Okay, why not? Sure, makes sense.
One of the first things I wanted to do with M plotter was I have a set of schematics for the original IBM PC
Oh, geez.
and the CGA card. And I wanted to do wallpaper of the CGA schematics.
I saw somebody did a one whole wall of their man cave was a Commodore 64.
Nice.
The only thing they got wrong was the letters were slightly off center from where they would be if it was really a screen that size. Everything else was perfect. And everybody that I saw comment about this picture was like, now you just have to make it blink and work.
This is just by way of thinking about these things. I
Bingo.
have a spreadsheet that I wrote for.
Bye
work.
bye.
We're
Hope the
out of
smoke is not killing you.
Take care.
we're out of time apparently.
And
See everybody
Take care.
next week.
required you
See you next
to
week.
See you next week.
certain